We're rolling.
Oh.
I'm going to count us down.
All right.
3.
Yeah.
2.
You lost nobody's bitch.
You're listening to Missing Out with Lex Michael and Tari J. Let's start the show.
Hey guys, this is Future Tari. I just wanted to jump in before we get started and let you know, just in case you didn't hear from Missing Out Mondays, but I am out of town dealing with some family issues. Everything's chill, nothing to worry about. But Lex and I didn't want to leave you high and dry, so we recorded this short episode talking about The One, and we thought that we would do something a little different, just give you a little quickie, just so you still can have a little bit of missing out in your life. So enjoy the show, and I'll probably wrap up at the end. All right, see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to Missing Out. I'm Tari J.
I'm Lex Michael.
If this is your first time listening, what we do here is we introduce each other to different media, whether it be music, television, movies, spoken word, books, experiences, and we talk about how those things have built us as people, and we share it with you, the audience, and hope that it builds you. We are the retrospective. That's introspective.
You made it. It's good. We made it through.
Oh, man. Cool. Lex, I introduced the topic today, which was The One, the 2001 movie directed by James Wong, starring Jason Statham, Jet Li, Carla Gugino.
Gurgles Gurgingen.
Or as she's known in most circles, Carla, they made me watch Gurgino.
They made me watch Gurgingen.
Yeah. This was one of my favorite movies when I was growing up, or when I was at least in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought I would share. I feel like it's super underrated. So I feel like this next hour is going to be me being like, but guys, this is so cool because of this thing.
That may, in fact, be the next hour.
I think that is what it's going to be.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of that.
I feel like most people don't give it enough credit. I was a big Jet Li fan. Since I first saw him in Lethal Weapon 4.
Which was like, that was his big introduction to American audiences, I think, was Lethal Weapon 4, where he was mostly silent, and he just kung fu Riggs and Murtaugh at every turn. Didn't he took the gun apart super fast, right?
I think so, yeah.
And then it's at the end, right? He's like, they're walking away, and it's like, just walk away. And he's like, but I want to know how he does that. Don't you want to know how he does that? Let's go ask him. All right, let's go ask him. Mm-hmm. And then they fight. I like those movies. But was that right? Like, the story is that on set, he would move so quickly. Like, he would do all of his moves, all of his fight choreography so fast that they actually had to instruct him, like Donner had to instruct him to slow down a little bit if possible, because the camera was not able to pick up his motion. He was moving so quickly.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really common issue when it comes to people who are actual martial artists. Like Wesley Snipes would talk about that a lot, how he essentially would have to punch at like half speed just because a full speed punch would look like he didn't move on the camera,
or
just
like
because
he twitched speed. Weird or something, like, right. Or like, what'd you just do with your arm? I was like, you're all right, Wes.
So like I've heard that about him, Jet Li, also Michael Jai White, who was Spawn, if you're unfamiliar with Michael Jai White. But yeah, it's because, like, if you're doing an efficient punch, it's a fragment of a second, but like you can only cameras can only capture a certain amount of frames per second, 24. And so like, well, it depends on the camera. Also depends on what you're shooting for.
Film, bro. 24 purist.
Okay.
Purity.
23.98.
Anything other than 24 frames a second is unclean. It is that. What is film? Film is truth at 24 frames a second. Such
The Hobbit would beg to differ, bro.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, 60 frames, motherfucker.
What is it? No, wasn't it like 48 FPS, or was it 60?
It was either one of those two.
I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Well, you missed out, bro.
Yeah. So did I miss out? Did I miss out on The One? What? Why? Okay. So you discovered this in theaters, presumably, like when it played 2001.
Oh yeah,
was its release? So you discovered it on its initial run?
Yes, I saw the commercial and I was like, I gotta watch that first day, bruh. I gotta be in the room where it happened. But I didn't say that because that phrase wasn't in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah. Or maybe I came up with it.
Yeah, you were super prescient.
Yeah.
Lin-Manuel Miranda was like seated 3 seats over from you, and he heard you say it to a friend, and he was like, "Wait a minute." He like put down his copy of the like Chernow book that he was reading. He's like, "Wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking got it. I fucking got it. I fucking got it." Somebody's like, "Shut up," because he's in a movie theater.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And so Lynn, where my resids? Where my resis, bro?
Where my residues?
Well, yeah, you know, at least just for that song. Every time someone plays it on Spotify, you got to give me them fractions of a penny. So I saw it in theaters for the first time, and then I saw it another time in theaters, and then I got the DVD from Blockbuster, and then I watched all these special features, and then I got it the next weekend, and then I got it the next weekend.
So you really like this movie.
And I now own the DVD because I like it.
All right. Okay. So you're a big fan then.
Yeah. Lex, what was your first impression?
Oh man, I have many. So this felt to me like a really fun, like B movie for sure, but like a B movie concept. But that's not. I don't mean that in a disparaging way. Like some of my favorite movies are very firmly B movie concepts.
Yeah.
A really fun B movie concept that then just got studio noted so aggressively that it eventually like collapsed under the weight of all of that paper.
Interesting.
That's my big like. And okay, so what's interesting to me is I didn't realize until I had finished watching the movie and like the credits started to come up, and I was like, wait, is it that James Wong? And then written by Glenn Morgan and James Wong, I was like, holy fuck, it's Glenn Morgan and James Wong are two of the biggest creative minds behind the X-Files, as people understand it. Like Chris Carter created the show, but it was him and like a handful of people, like him and Kim Manners, Frank Spotnitz, but Glenn Morgan and James Wong, in the days like pre-Vince Gilligan, they were two of the biggest creative minds shaping what the show eventually became. Then I think they left, I want to say season 4 to go do like Space Above and Beyond. And I think they came back to the show a little bit later. But then they went off and they did movies. They co-created the Final Destination series.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was the year before, I think. The first Final Destination was 2000, I think.
I believe so, because I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be the year before the one. But it feels like, they had their first kind of big movie success. Uh-huh. And then they went, you know what it is? It's like, this feels like they're Mallrats.
Okay.
To me.
I don't know what that... I guess I don't really have specific context for what that means.
In as much as... although I like Mallrats more than I think I liked the one overall. In as much as there's their first movie came out and it was a big success, especially of its kind. And then they go and they do their second movie and they're like, oh, okay, this has got to be like a sure-ish thing, right? Like, look at all these concepts. Like, we got all the even more studio money. We got like super big movie stars and stuff. Look at this concept. It's great. And then the studio's like, but we should kind of do studio thing, yeah? Yeah, we're going to do studio thing, studio stuff, studio way. We're going to like release it studio way too. And then everybody was like, this doesn't work.
Interesting. So,
but then Mallrats came to be beloved later in a way that maybe the one is, and I just don't run it in those circles.
Maybe, yeah, you're not in
it's
one.
Not really
circles.
It's not a good analogy. It doesn't really hold up. It's more just like they had their first movie and their second movie wasn't perceived to work in the same way. Is really the only analogy.
So,
it doesn't really hold up.
Right. It sounds like a long way of saying a sophomore slump. Maybe,
but. We gotta dig in a little bit.
Yeah. So I have an assortment of questions about your feedback. Like this is a review. This is a job review. I have some specific questions about your feedback.
I think your
that I have
opinions
some issues
are bullshit.
With.
If I may be frank, is some fucking whore. You're not entitled to your feelings, sir.
No, I mean I wonder if some of that feeling.
Jet Li is my son. How dare you? I'm sorry. What?
No, I wonder if some of that feeling is because, like, so this movie was originally slated to be a rock vehicle.
When I read that, I went, wow, like, picturing how different the movie would have been and how I do think it might have been a stronger movie, not just because Dwayne Johnson, then, of course, known primarily as The Rock, I think this was only a couple years after, like, Mummy Returns, which was his first movie.
Well, actually, he left this movie to do Mummy Returns.
But I thought Mummy Returns was like 99. I know the first Mummy was 99.
Yeah.
Mummy Returns would have been the same year. That's right. Okay. That tracks.
Either that one or the Scorpion King. One of those two.
No, he wasn't a full-fledged movie star yet, but he's still he became a movie star because he was always that charismatic. So he's one of the most charismatic people on the planet, yes, but also because I feel like Jet Li had not fully come into his own as an actor yet.
Okay.
He eventually, I think, started to find his niche as a performer. And I don't just mean like guy who does fights. I mean like his actual like character niche as a performer. Yeah. In a way that I feel like he hadn't quite yet. So like, for example, he's playing these dual roles, and the whole movie, I don't really feel necessarily like they're all that different from each other, except that one guy is scowly and one guy isn't.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so much so that there are scenes where I really had to like track little details on their outfits to be able to keep track of who was who. And I understand that there are ways you can play that for drama.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel intentional to me. It felt like I was supposed to be able to track a little bit better who was who. But the only distinguishing thing, like in terms of the way he was playing it, really the only distinguishing factor was that one guy scowls a little bit more. But when the other dude, when Gabe is in peril,
yeah,
you can't tell them apart because they're both scowling.
Maybe. I mean, well, they are in this, by way of the movie, they are literally the same person. So like telling them apart behaviorally, I don't know if you're necessarily like, I guess maybe one could have like a scar in his face or something.
No, but I mean, like, one of them is literally a psychopath who's literally now murdered. If he's murdered nobody but versions of himself, which is unlikely. No, we see him murder other people.
Yeah, he murders a lot of people.
Even if Delroy Lindo was the first ancillary person he had ever murdered, he's still been murdered. He's murdered over 120 different versions of himself. That has to impact, like, after that much murder, your behavior has to be a little bit different, I would think.
I mean, he plays him pretty callously. I mean, I think at this point you'd imagine that for Law, like, especially all these people who aren't a part of his own universe, they're just like pixels to him. Where he's just like, yeah, pow, 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 pow. You don't matter because you're not my universes. Pow, 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 pow. Like, because oh, go ahead.
No, right, but I'm saying, like, I see that. I see that, but I don't know, man.
What do you want from Jet Li?
I don't know.
What do you want him to give you?
I don't know what I want from Jet Li. I want like Expendables Jet Li.
What did he do in Expendables? Didn't he just like show up and leave?
He was pretty kind of. No, that's not what I mean though. I want Jet Li to show up.
I want this movie to just be Jet Li being like, hey guys, all right, gotta go.
I gotta take a call.
And then the rest of the movie is just people being like, I feel like someone else is supposed to be here.
Where'd he go? It's just it's all Delroy Lindo and Jason Statham looking around like, where is he? It's just that for an hour and a half. No, like, I mean, like, just at that point in his film career, I think he had eased into himself a little bit more as an actor.
Yeah.
But that's not even necessarily what I mean. I don't know. There's some untouchable thing that I feel like was missing for me in Jet Li's dual performance.
Interesting.
But the fights were great.
I mean, the fights were really great. Like, I think that is something that you were able to get with Jet Li as opposed to like having The Rock in there, where so in the special features of the DVD they show the initial animatics of what they thought the fights were going to be like when they were initially writing for The Rock, and they were going to have him be more of a brawler, more of
That's kind of at a certain point in the movie towards the end it occurred to me like, wait, well, The Rock's not a martial artist, so how are these sequences going to play? And I was like, it's either got to be like he's a brawler or what, like he boxes,
I guess.
Just boxes his way
one's
through
a boxer and one's a kickboxer. It's like a Ryu Kin thing, you know? He's like, I do Muay Thai. Pop, pop. That's how The Rock talks. But like, so talking about the martial arts.
Can you smell what The Rock's cooking? Can you smell it?
Smell it! Get your finger out of my face.
This man
Stop
will never be the biggest star on the planet.
Yeah, and so speaking of the martial arts, like it was really cool that like Jet Li was able to bring his essentially two styles of kung fu to these two characters, in that like the symbolism between the two different styles was what motivated their characters. Is like Yu Law having the more linear style. He practiced, I think I wrote it as Ji Ying Kwang, which is very like direct fighting style, whereas Gabe does Bagua Zhang, which is very circular, very much about finding. It's like the main symbol in the 8 trigrams palm style, which is what that translates to, is like a like yin yang symbol. So it's all about that that balance. So I like that was able to be showcased, because I honestly couldn't imagine what this movie would have been if it were The Rock just like chasing himself down, hanging out. I guess he would have just been like a dude who uses guns, and he would have been like, look at me, I am a gun guy. Ah, damn. And then his other side would have been like really friendly, and he would have been like, I don't use guns. I'm a nice guy. Like, I can't imagine what those two versions of The Rock would have been.
I feel like that's a little bit like what The Rundown is about. Except it's just, you just track the good version, and then at the end, the good version and the bad version fuse. Mm-hmm. Have you seen The Rundown?
Yes.
It's about a man in the jungle who hangs out with Sean William Scott, who spends an hour and 40 minutes going, I don't use guns. I never use guns. Don't touch them. Don't get that gun away from me. Put that gun down, you piece of shit. I don't touch that fucking gun fucking mess. I don't get it away. Put it in your ass. I don't touch them. I don't like them at all. Get them guns out my face. And then at the end, what is revealed is that the reason he's so anti-gun is that when he picks up guns, he's so good at firing guns at people that everyone dies.
Yeah, I get it. You know, that's why I don't play the piano.
Because I'm
just so good at it. People die. Like they listen, and then their soul like leaves their body because they become so fulfilled.
You literally rapture people.
Right. So if you ever ask me to play the piano, I definitely will not, or I'll play it really badly just for your own sake. I'll be like, I'm saving you right now. It's for your own good. It's for your own good. Blop, 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 blop. And then everyone's faces start melting, like
Raiders
of the Lark Ark.
Raiders of the Ark Light.
I think something I also really like about this movie were their multiverse rules, which now as an adult, I think when I was a kid, I was just like, multiverse, cool. But like they actually had rules. They were like every time a giant star dies, another universe is created. And that explains why there's a finite amount of universes, which is really cool.
That's true. In almost every story that I've read or seen where they address a multiverse, it does seem like this arbitrary limited number.
Right.
So I appreciate that they at least offered an explanation for why there's an arbitrary limited number.
Yeah. And it also like leads you to it also makes more sense because it's easier to be like, this guy killed 100 people, as opposed to being like, this guy is killing an infinity number of people. Right. And there will never be a one, but he just keeps doing it.
Right. Like your whole premise is sort of predicated on the idea that at a certain point you can be done killing them all.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you feel like this movie was really noted to death. So like, what do you feel like was, in terms of like the concept versus execution, what do you feel like was essentially kind of more of an executive note versus like the original creative?
The two things that pop into my head first are the way they dole out exposition, like almost invariably in the clunkiest way possible. And I wish I had taken more notes of examples.
Yeah.
but like the first third of the movie, because you have to set up who everybody is and their relationship and stuff, and kind of what everybody's doing there. Every bit of expository dialogue was just dropped in the most ham-fisted way possible, in a way that really felt, because like I've watched a whole bunch of X-Files episodes that these guys have written, and they tend not to be that ham-fisted.
Yeah.
So that felt to me like some exec going like, well, you need to add a line about how, like, you know, like the "how long have we been brothers" type of fucking line.
Right.
And the other is the soundtrack. Like in a real big way, this just feels like, all right, well, what do the kids like? All right, what record label do we own? All right, who's on that? Great, you're putting those songs in the movie.
First of all, that soundtrack was killer. Okay,
it's not
that
my
soundtrack.
I did when I was that age. I liked Disturbed a little bit, I think.
Yeah,
but not more than a small handful of songs. I don't think I knew more than a small handful of songs.
Well, you should dive back in because Disturbed was dope. Especially once they got past their like, oh, we're gonna be like weird for weird's sake, and like they started getting like political and stuff. Like, damn, bruh, Disturbed they got it. And we also got, what else do we get? We got some Drowning Pool.
That's 2 Drowning Pool songs.
Hell yeah. Some Power Man 500.
So a couple of Papa Roach tunes.
Hell yeah. You know, the soundtrack was booming. I would play that shit in my car. Ooh, yeah, girl. I go run into that.
I can picture it.
Hell yeah. And if you're going to fight, you might as well fight to some dang good rock, bruh.
It didn't feel like it fit the movie to me. Or no, it didn't feel like it felt like a 12-year-old's idea of cool, I guess is the best way for me to put it. Every time he starts fighting and they kick in like Drowning Pool or Disturbed, I'm just like, God, like you're joking though, right?
I mean, that tracks since I was like 14 when I watched this movie.
That makes so much sense to me. How like an 11 to 15-year-old, I think, could fall in love with this.
Yeah.
Because
they were also, this is just like a side note. They were also doing shit like that with like Dragon Ball Z movies. So they would essentially sub in contemporary like alt rock instead of like the original Japanese score. Which was real weird. So if you ever go back to like the Lord Slug movie, there's a bunch of Disturbed in there and Drowning Pool, Dust for Life, like a bunch of shit that doesn't belong. But I dig it.
Yeah.
But I love it.
All right.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna fight, you better fight to some dope shit, bro. And that's it. That's what you gotta fight to.
It just didn't feel. It didn't feel appropriate. It just didn't feel like it fit in that movie to me.
What would you rather it be? Like orchestrated, like orchestra, or like
all King Diamond.
King Diamond.
All King Diamond. Like, we're gonna fight, Grandma. Like, well, he's just wailing on people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that could have worked. You know. I liked it because it had a very like early 2000s feel to it, like, so I still dig that, like, because I know that now like it's all about like having an actual like score and soundtrack and stuff like that. Like you rarely see non-diegetic like full albums, like even when Coogler did the Black Panther, like he had his score which was like scoring the movie, but then he also had his like album which had like people or like rap artists and R&B stars doing songs inspired by but like not included in the movie. So I feel like it was like late 90s early 2000s was a shining time for them just throwing songs that they felt like were apt in the movies. Especially because I think I have a weird appreciation for when a song is basically just yelling at you what's happening in the movie. Like there are times when, because like they're appropriate in that, like when he's about to beat people up, its bodies hit the floor. When he's doing something crazy, it's down with the sickness.
Right.
But then when he's fighting himself, it's like generation to kill ourselves, bro. It works, dude.
It's too. I've always had kind of the opposite reaction where it just makes me cringe a little bit every time the music selection is that on the nose.
I love it. maybe you need to like take a step back from yourself, really like immerse yourself in the moment, and think about how well it works. You don't even have to think about it because it tells you. He's a sinner. You look at him, but you don't understand he's a sinner.
It's just like Seinfeld did that. He's a sinner. He's a sinner.
Yeah. Did you not know that song is by...
What if? Okay, The One, but starring Jerry Seinfeld in dual roles.
Okay.
What's the deal with there being 124 other versions of me?
Oh man, this is
What's
killer.
the deal with That's him from the Earth, where all of his jokes are just gibberish. What's the deal with?
So in this version, is the instead of like a fight off, they have like a stand up competition, and whoever dies on stage,
whoever bombs hardest, is eradicated.
Right. And I like to imagine that like the other one has to be eaten, like you have to just consume their flesh, and Jerry Seinfeld's like, you're part of me, and yeah.
But the ending, weirdly, is still exactly the same. He's in the Hades dimension, fighting all of the fucking people on top of that giant structure.
Yeah.
We don't know why. We don't know why this is where... I guess when you bomb that hard on stage, you go to the fight dimension. They were very... I mean, I guess it's clear right up top that subtlety is not really an aim of this movie, but really, really unsubtle. In many ways, not the least of which is when you're... their version of the Phantom Zone, essentially, from the look of it, is... oh my god, it's the Stygian facility... or something like that in the Hades dimension.
Okay.
So Hades, obviously hell. Stygian, yeah, it can mean very dark, but Stygian is just relating to the river Styx.
Right.
So really, really not subtle.
No.
Really not. It's basically going like, you criminal, go to hell, and then just like taking it all the way.
I mean, but like, why would you want your prison dimension or your prison planet to be subtle? Like, you don't want it to be called like flower pancake puppy zone.
Optics, man.
No.
Yeah,
you want
optics.
people to be scared. You don't want you want them to not want to go there.
Nah, man, you got to placate the left.
Ooh.
Got to use euphemistics.
Oh.
Got to use them euphemies.
Yeah, I think they used euphemistics on my puppy a couple days ago.
Oh, Jesus. That's stark. It's dead now, isn't it?
I don't know. It's no.
That's what happens when you give somebody euphemistic.
They said it's on the cupcake but bone planet and sector G.
Jesus.
Yeah. Is that not? Wait, did someone lie to me?
That wasn't a veterinarian at all.
Did someone lie to me?
That was Jet Li, and he killed your dog.
And then he threw his arms up and was like, "You are mine." Yep, that's how he did that.
I like the prisoner who comments on his mouth. The prettiness of his mouth.
Yeah. I would say that this movie doesn't age great in terms of like
Anything?
No. Fight scenes still dope.
Fight scenes are right. Although in terms of special effects, right, they're a little wobbly. There's a point in the movie where Jet Li is fighting Jet Li, and you can see completely through one of the Jet Lis at one point when he's on the ground, because I guess he wasn't keyed in properly.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, but they were great for the time. And the sequence where he is in regular motion and everyone else is in slow motion still holds up. I don't know if it does. It still does. And it was the first of its kind.
Was it?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Where he's in regular motion and everything else is in slow motion? When else have you seen that?
I don't know.
They haven't, like, Matrix...
My house.
At your house?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, I was on drugs.
Yeah.
And everything was going in slow motion, but I was going regular motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
No, I've seen people going fast.
Yeah.
I guess while everything else is at regular speed.
Right.
But I haven't seen people going faster while everything else was also going slower.
Right. And you have to realize that, like, all those people weren't even people. Those were all CG dummies. Yep. He was kicking tennis balls. You didn't even realize because you're like, oh, damn.
Delroy Lindo is a tennis ball?
Yep. He was a tennis ball.
He's a hell of an actor.
I know. He made it very far for just being a tennis ball. That goes to show you guys, like, you can do anything if you set your mind to it. You want to be a famous actor and you're only a tennis ball? It can happen. Don't let nobody tell you different. Don't let nobody tell you that. All right, guys, that was our talk about The One. I think that the general consensus was Lex wasn't a huge fan, and Pastari is still the biggest fan of the movie, and he wishes that they would make another one because it was amazing. If they don't, then he will go off and do his own thing, making his own The One. But let us know if you were a fan of The One. Hit us up on Twitter at Missing Outcast. That's MissingOutcast. You can also leave us a voice message at 978-MISS-OUT. That number again is 978-MISS-OUT. And you can let us know either what you thought of The One, or you can let us know what you're into for the week, and we'll include it on Missing Out Mondays. And that's it. So thank you again for listening. We hope you enjoyed this little quickie about Jet Li's The One, and we hope to see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye. What we do here is we introduce each other to different media, whether it be music, television.
It's just the I'm stuck on the like you weren't sure for a second.
I had to get back in the groove.
This is why we need the occasional scripted bit, man.
No,
so
dude, like,
we don't sound like we're unsure of what we're doing.
I just lost my rhythm. I was in it. I was there.
All right.
And then I got sucked back out. Just when you think you're out, you get sucked right back out.
Reconstruct it in your head for yourself. Lower into it like a bath, like a cool bath over your nude form.
Okay.
And once you've dipped into that bath and you're turning all nice and warm and wet and pruny, then go.
Got it. Okay. Oh, that makes it sound like I just peed.
A little bit.
Okay. I'm back in it. If this is your first time listening...
I'm like gonna choke on my coffee.
Oh, jeez.
That's really good. This has all gotta stay.
No.
This is the best part of the show.
It cannot. I'll include it so much.
It's so good. You almost killed me.
All right. Okay.
I could have died.
I'm going to mark it. I'm going to mark it. Future Tari, you'll thank me.